So whenever you trade an NFL quarterback, there are obviously winners and losers to the situation, and we will dive into those off of the Dallas Cowboys trade for Joe Milton earlier in the week. What's up, everyone? It's Mauricio Rodriguez here at A to Z Sports Dallas. Listen, we're going to get into 3 winners and 1 loser from the Joe Milton trade to the Cowboys. The Cowboys traded for Joe Milton on Thursday. In case you missed it, they gave up a 5th rounder, got a 7th rounder in return. So essentially, it was only a day 3 swap in which they got a quarterback as well, which was a pretty good deal. And I talked about it more in the previous video. However, now I want to talk about those players who are impacted by the move. Funny story though, I posted this story originally on atozsports.com, and in it, I had Trey Lance as a loser. Well, he's still a part of the list, but I would now categorize him as a winner. The reason why he was a loser was pretty obvious. The Cowboys were one of the likeliest landing spots if you took things back to the beginning of free agency. And I was very, very curious about the market for Trey Lance, just because things have not gone very well for the former number 3 overall pick. And with the Cowboys trading for Joe Milton, I thought it only confirmed our suspicion, which already existed, that the Cowboys were not going to target him in free agency again. Before I started recording the video, Trey Lance, it was announced, is signing with the LA Chargers. It's a 1-year deal worth up to over $6 million. So probably got a very heavy deal in terms of incentives, but still a good deal for Trey Lance. I guess he lands in an NFL team. The reason why I changed him to a winner, though, is he's going to land with Jim Harbaugh. And I don't know if Jim Harbaugh is going to crack the code with Trey Lance, but he is among the likeliest coaches that could do it around the NFL. He is known as a QB guru, so I would consider that a major win for Trey Lance. And listen, after all, it's not Trey Lance's fault that it didn't work out in Dallas. I mean, maybe to a point, of course. But what I'm saying is, I know it didn't work out, but I still wish him the best, honestly, in this new stop. So good luck in LA, Trey. Now let's get to the loser, and it's a pretty obvious one. Will Grier. Before the Joe Milton trade, it was still a question mark whether or not the Cowboys were going to land a quarterback in the 2025 NFL draft. Sure, they told us they wanted to. Stephen Jones said it to the media multiple times. They were going to target a quarterback, but maybe by the time they were on the clock in the 5th round or the 6th round, maybe the value was not going to be there. And in that case, the clear front runner to back up Dak Prescott next season was going to be Will Grier. But now that they've acquired Joe Milton, I would be very surprised if Grier beats out Joe Milton. Now, that door is still open, especially because Milton is considered to be a low floor, high ceiling prospect. But Grier is also a little bit raw. So if I had to guess, Joe Milton is going to beat out Will Grier. But in any case, even if he doesn't, Will Grier now has some competition to be QB2 in Dallas, so he is the natural loser of this transaction. Now, 2 more winners on the list. One of them is obvious. The other one is a little bit of an underrated one. The obvious one is, well, Joe Milton. Now, even though it is obvious, let's be very clear here. Not every player that is traded to a better situation. In this case, I think Milton was. You know how it went in New England. He was drafted in the same class than Drake May was, which was immediately a bad situation for him because it was always going to be very unlikely for the Patriots to carry 2 rookie quarterbacks on their game day roster. I think usually the setup that you want is get a rookie quarterback in there and pair him with a veteran guy, or get a veteran guy and pair him with someone young that you're developing in the background. So it was a bad spot for Joe Milton since the moment that he was drafted in the 6th round. That's what I would argue. And then they added Joshua Dobbs into the mix earlier this offseason, and it just felt like it was time for him to leave. He goes to the Cowboys, where he is likely going to be that number 2 behind Dak Prescott. So I would consider him a winner. Now, I'll go one step further and say this because you might have missed it. Jordan Schultz from Fox, he reported that Milton actually got to choose where he was headed in this trade market, and even said that the Patriots had received a better offer than the one that the Cowboys had, but they still let Milton decide, just as a sign of respect to him. So yeah, Milton is clearly the biggest winner of this move. Now, the other winner, I would say, is quarterback coach for the Cowboys, Steve Chimko. Now, many people will be like, well, why? And here's my take. Steve Chimko is still making a name for himself. He held several important positions in the past in the NFL with the Seattle Seahawks. Then he was climbing the ladder over at Boston College. But he is still someone young that is making a name for himself at the NFL level. And I honestly think he's not going to be remembered a whole lot by whatever Dak Prescott does in the next couple of years, just because Dak is already an established quarterback and he's going to get most of the credit or blame regardless. But if you have a young quarterback and you develop him and you become the guy that cracks the code of Joe Milton, who has so many issues, but that if you fix them, you're going to get a star quarterback, basically. And that's a very, very long shot, but it could still happen. The fact that Chimko has that opportunity, I think, makes him a winner because he has a very clear chance to become a very noticed coach if he manages to make it work. I don't think he had that with Dak Prescott, just because, again, Dak, it feels like we already know who Dak is, right? He already saw some of his best football in 2023 when he was a front runner to the MVP. We know about his flaws. We know about his strengths. He is who he is. And I don't think Steve Chimko was going to be remembered by what he did on the field. But Milton, hey, he might be remembered as the guy that solved Joe Milton. We'll see. So I will put him as a winner on my list. So there you go. That's my list. Let me know in the comments if you think I missed somebody, and I'll see you next week.